Yeah, so you guys know me, I know you. Let's get right back into this. Today we're going to be doing dialogue and all that other good stuff. Um, First we're going to go back to our main frame with the character, the house, and everything else. You want to add a new layer, which would be your second layer, and add an active object, which is going to go on top or in that layer, but on top of the other layer. You want to uncheck these and uncheck follow the frame. That'll come in handy later, just not now. I'm gonna make the width 240, the same size as the screen, and this about 55. That'll work. Horizontally center it. Align it at the bottom. And I'm just gonna make a black box with white corners. Well, not white corners, but invisible corners. Because I don't really know how to design dialogue boxes. It's not my strong suit. Cannot get that there. Okay, but there we have it, the first dialog box thing. You want to add in a second active object at about right here. Just make it a small box and pretty much make it the same thing as the last thing except smaller. This is going to be where your yes and no goes, or whatever you want to have questioned in your RPG game, because there's no better RPG game than an RPG game that asks questions. Okay, so there you have that. Next, you're going to want to add in two string objects. One string will go inside of the frame, one will go outside. And by outside, I mean like way at the top, so it's not visible. You want to clear that string out. Make another string and bring it into the frame. This string is going to be visible though, so you might as well like put a couple lines or something that says, or you could just type in blank for now so that you can see it. And you're going to put that in your dialog box, so resize it to the size of the dialog box. And there you go. Yeah, italics will work. Okay. Once you have all that ready, you're ready to start, making things work out. You just set up the grid, snap to it, insert a 20 by 20 object. Just something for you to, interact with. Let's make it an item, like a sword or something, even though you won't need a sword. Well, yeah, you will. I forgot a sword is one of the items. Silly me. Shouldn't be spending a lot of time on this because I have to rush, but that's not looking too good. But that's good enough for now. So this is going to be your sword, which I'm going to name sword. You want to go to qualifiers, edit, then add. I think they have obstacles here, but I can't find that. Somewhere near the bottom, obstacle, here it is. Obstacle, you want to click on that, then click OK. Now, the first few things in the event editor, woohoo. Oh, you also want to add in this, the NPC. It's not an actual person, non-player character, but you will be able to interact with it. Okay, into the event editor, you want to make a new group titled dialogue, and I sure hope I spelled that right, otherwise it'd be really, really embarrassing. But yeah, you want to go to compare two general values, string 1 and string 2. Wait, let me just name these so I know which one is which. in frame string. Where's my other string? Out of frame string. Okay. Anyways, back to this. Compare two general values. If this out of frame string is different from the in frame string, then every one millisecond, I guess, it will change the alterable string of the in frame string to go here to strings, extract left substring, enter the string, then you're going to click on out of frame string alterable. Where it says here enter number of characters, click on retrieve data from object, strings, length of string, then you want to go to the in frame string alterable. Click on this parenthesis, the one inside second to last, then put in +1. Check it if it's valid, then click OK. Well, let me just put in a string to show you, what it should say. Since this is our outside string, we can just pretty much input anything. So let me think. Hi, welcome to RPG World or something like that. Pretty corny, but it still works. As you can see, it types in all dialogue like, and if you couldn't see that, I'll slow it down for you and run that frame again. And there you have it. But there's still more. You don't want this dialogue box to be, visible the whole time because you want to see your character walk around. So this can be easily fixed by unchecking visible at start here, unchecking visible at start here, and unchecking visible at start here. Now you can just go ahead and hide this entire layer because you won't need it until a few seconds from now. You want to clone the navigator that you had before. Oh, just realized the sword is in the wrong layer. It should be here. Anyways, you want to clone your navigator, color it a different color, make sure that's invisible. It's going to be titled Navigator 2. We're going to open up the dialog group, and we're going to make it so that if his direction, the RPG character, is facing this, then his X position will be of his X position plus 20. See how that works? And you're going to make the Y position to the Y position of your RPG character. So there we have that. Now we're going to do this for the other direction, and we're going to make this -20. Then we're going to do this for the top direction. This time the X position is going to just be the same X position of the character, and the Y position will be -20. Go ahead and clone that event, make it point downwards, and make it +20. Just to show you guys how this is going to look, I'm going to check visible at start, and as you can see, it always stays in front of the character, so it knows what to talk to and what you're near. Anyways, let me just go ahead and make that invisible again. You're going to close this dialog group for now, go back into the walking group, copy event number 7 here, and paste it. You're going to click on replace, change this to if this is overlapping another object, which is this. Well, not this entirely, but obstacles in general. Okay. But one more thing you're going to want to keep an obstacle outside of the frame, because I'm pretty sure you guys like to, destroy objects when you don't need them. So this is just going to be something basic. You don't need this, it's not relevant to the game, but it is relevant to the qualifiers. You want to change this to an obstacle. If I can find it, it should be around here. Here we go. And you want to add NPC. So now when you run into the sword, you'll stop movement and you won't continue going. Just like that. But we'll get into how you talk to it later. I might want to center that just a bit because it looks kind of awkward and whatnot. Yeah. And it still looks kind of awkward. Let me just change this to 20 and position it to the middle. There we go. Okay, that looks a lot better. Now let's get into how you actually, approach things and talk to it. You're going to want to add in a comment to separate everything. And this comment is going to be labeled talking to sword. Okay. Now if this second navigator is overlapping an NPC, well, let's take this out of the talking to sword group. We'll get into that a bit later. This is overlapping an NPC, and let's just say spacebar is pressed while this dialog box is invisible. Then it will set alterable value. Which one are we not using? I don't think we're using B. We may be, so I'm just gonna use alterable value C for precautions. We're gonna label this alterable value C timer. Well, we already have something named timer, so let's just name it timer with 2 R's. We're gonna set timer to about 3. We're gonna insert a new event. If timer is greater than 0, then it will subtract from timer 1. That way when you press spacebar, it won't just fade through all the messages and stuff. So yeah, this is invisible. Oh, okay, upon pressing spacebar, this will reappear. This won't reappear, but the in-frame string will. Visibility reappear, and it will set, oh, you want to add in another alterable value, and this is going to be called dialog set. Upon pressing spacebar, it will set dialog set to 1. Now, you want to copy this one more time. Upon pressing spacebar, just overlapping this. Insert a new event here. If timer is greater, well, lower or equal to 0, while pressing spacebar, you want to erase all these events, and you want to just add to dialog set. Now everything should be ready to go into talking to sword. Maybe they should all be in a separate group. You don't need to do this, but I mean, if you want to be organized, like I usually like to keep my games, you can go ahead. Just insert all of those into it and close that. Okay, back to talking though. Now, if your dialog set is equal to 1, oh, one more thing. I think I missed out on something here. Yeah, you want to go back to this second upon pressing spacebar, and you still want to set the timer to 3. accidentally clicked cancel. It's not good. Timer 3. Make sure it's above this. But yeah, let's get back to it for real this time. Okay, if dialog set is equal to 1, this is overlapping this sword, then it will set in frame string, change altable string to blank, and it will set out of frame string. This is where you type what you want, what it to say. So let's type something basic. You have found a sword. Okay, so you found a sword on set 1. On set 2, okay, let's just clone this really quick. Let's make a regular sword and a broken sword. This sword is going to be broken or burnt or something. I don't know if swords can really burn, but you're going to have to work with me here. Looks like a pretty decent burnt sword. Just put some pressure on this. Okay. That looks good enough. Anyways, you have your regular sword and you have your burnt sword. So let's just change this to burnt, both of these to burnt. And let's edit this. You have found a burnt sword. Nothing you can do with it. Okay. So as you can see, you found a burnt sword. It has no purpose. You can't collect the item. So after it tells you the first 2 things you put in, you go to number 3, which will be the ender. Once you have this ender here, you can just set this altable string to blank, make this invisible, make this invisible, and so far all you can do is interact with the burnt sword, but let's see how this goes. So you have the regular one here, the burnt one here, you still stop. And something's not right, of course. It was a foolish mistake that I should have noticed. This here, upon pressing spacebar, while this is invisible, that is not correct for the second one. It should be visible, so you can go ahead and just delete that. Now, you have found a burnt sword. Nothing you can do with it. Then it disappears. But there is still one more problem. You found a burnt sword. Why are you able to walk away while you're supposedly examining this sword? We can easily fix this by 1, closing up the dialog group, going to walking, and we need to make it so that we can't, we can't really move at all while this is visible. So if this is invisible, you won't change direction or anything. Just copy that into every event with a repeat while joystick action is being played, and that should work. So you should be able to talk to items without being able to walk away, though you can still, do your running animation near it. That's weird, but it should be workable. If that's really a problem, you can just put it in between all of these events. I don't think it's that much of a problem, but still. Well, yeah, it might be later on. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and do that anyways. Control C. Just add this to every, And there you have it. You're standing completely still. Nothing you can do with it. You found the burnt sword. You can't do much with the burnt sword. Dialogue, and we're going back to this. Now let's make a new one. Copy all of these and paste it. This is talking to burnt sword, so that's different. Okay, talking to sword, the regular sword, we can go ahead and change these. Now, let's just edit this text. You have found a burnt sword. Not anymore. You have found a sword. This is where you can ask a question. You don't have to, but you could. Would you like to pick up the sword? Question mark. Now this is where it gets kind of, sort of confusing, but it shouldn't be too confusing. You're going to make this active object become visible. You want to open up this basic event again, and you want to insert, as long as this is invisible here. So this is where we finally get to edit this active object. We're going to make two basic directions, but first we want to edit in this and put in a yes and a no. I'm going to just keep that in Arial or Arial, however you'd say that. I have no idea how to say it. Never bothered to, learn. Okay, yes and no goes here, and an arrow on the side to show which one you're choosing. So you have that as your first direction. You want to paste this in the second one and move it down. Just color that in black. Okay. So there you have it, yes and no. Open back up this basic event. Once this is visible, and up is pressed, then it will set the direction to this direction. Now, if this is visible and down is pressed, then it will set the direction to this. So that's silly. You don't want to copy and paste that. Well, you can. Let's just replace. Let's replace this invisible to is visible. So that way we have, pretty much the same thing, but it has different timers. Okay. So it asks you have found a sword. Would you like to pick up a sword? Let's just close this for neatness. Now this time it'll, work out if you've picked it up or not. If it equals 3 and this direction is set to this, then yes, you have picked up the sword, meaning this value item sword that we already have in our basic inventory will get value item of sword. Then we'll add a +1, meaning we just added one sword to our inventory. Then you want to bring this into the second number 3. Make sure you have 2 enders here, make that number 2 for no. And you will not add a sword to this basic inventory. So let me just save this and show you guys how this works. And I'll put it in big screen so you can see. So let's try out our burnt sword first. You have found a burnt sword. Nothing you can do with it. Let's walk on to our, regular one. You have found a sword. Would you like to pick up the sword? You have a choice, yes or no. I'm going to choose yes. Ooh, forgot to make this become invisible. Don't worry, you can fix that real easily by just clicking visibility, make object invisible, and then you're pretty much done. But once again, just to justify that I did in fact just pick up a sword, let's go to the menu screen, check our pause menu, and there we have it, a sword in our items. So this has pretty much been dialogue and picking up items. We'll get more into it in the next video.